moment you say that is the moment then they say you can't defend yourself because you don't have an argument. No, we do have an argument, and we should be able to present it very well. Inshallah, just in reference to last week, what we discussed, we talked about the proof of the Creator, and the only thing I want to pick up on is just one thing. We said the reason that people want to reject a Creator, what was the reason? We gave like 4 reasons. Anyone remember what those 4 reasons are that we mentioned? Why is that people want to reject the concept that there is a Creator?
Scared of being ruled over.
Yeah, they actually are afraid to be governed and ruled by religion. I'm not sure you've heard the announcement that was made, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, by one of the top Jewish rabbis, part of the board of Jewish Jeopardies. He said, Christianity and Islam have made a mistake which we learned 26 centuries ago from the time of the Babylons. MashaAllah, he went that far back. He goes, when people try to mix religion with politics, rather we've learned how to live as a minority. And that's the point, isn't it? That the whole concept is you should not mix with politics. So the reason is because they don't want to be ruled by religion. That's fundamental. And why don't they want to be ruled by religion? Because who is God today? In their concept, who is God? I'm sorry? Themselves. Every single one of us is a God. Every single one. Why? Because we decide what we want to do. No one has the right to tell us what to do or what not to do. We are the ones. And that's wherever people can break the law, they will break the law because they have no concept. There is somebody who's going to account them. Everyone knows the famous incident of that young girl with her mother in the marketplace, and Umar ibn al-Khattab, who was a Khalifa of the time, the leader of the time, was managing the markets. He came across, he overheard the discussion between daughter and mother, and the mother said to the daughter, why don't we increase the amount of milk that we have so we can sell more and make more money by adding water to it? And don't worry, the Khalifa Umar, he's not here. And what was the reply of the daughter? She said, Mother, it doesn't matter if the Khalifa isn't here. Allah is watching us. I mean, I cannot do, Allah is watching us. So I'm not going to do this. And she became the one who married up to one of the sons of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He was so impressed with her. And she was the grandmother of which Khalifa? Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Anyone knows the life of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, subhanAllah, how he was the ruler of the Muslims. So this concept that they have, that everyone is God, they don't want to be ruled by religion whatsoever. They want to be God themselves. And we've seen the consequences of that. If you've been reading the news of the last 1 or 2 days, it's astounding. This 6-year-old boy, what he did to a 5-year-old boy. This 11-year-old boy, what he did to a 9-year-old boy. The recent attacks and the criminality that's been around, that's mentioned in the news. Shocking. Because each one thinks, this law doesn't apply to me, I'm God. I can do whatever I want to do. They don't want to be ruled, Jazakallah khair. And there are 3 things they connected it to, which were what? Number 1, they thought the whole concept of religion meant what? What was the idea that they had about religion? Sorry? It is suppressing. What do you mean by that? It causes wars. That's the first idea that they had. Religion, it causes wars. And we don't want to have wars today. The reality is, today all the wars have been caused by what? Other than religion. Number 2, they said religion, what does it do? It oppresses people. It doesn't allow people to think or to account. Because everyone will say, I'm the leader, you can't account me because what? I've been chosen by God, you can't account me. That contradicts Islam. Why? Because in Islam, the rule is appointed by who? By us. And we have the duty to account him and to remove him if he doesn't rule according to the Qur'an and the Sunnah. And number 3, the religion doesn't allow progress, scientific progress. How does that contradict Islam? Because in Islam, how do we see, what's the relationship between Islam and science? Islam is the one which created the innovation, the drive, the momentum for all the technological scientific discoveries that happened over the many centuries in the past. Islam was the motivation behind it. And somebody asked me a question, I revert to Islam, alhamdulillah, at work. Became Muslim recently, asked the question regarding organ donation. That after somebody dies, is it allowed to donate organs? I won't bother with the details, but it was interesting that to say that, subhanAllah, had we Muslims, because we have the best doctors, but the reality is the best doctors, they leave the Muslim world, they leave Pakistan, they leave Egypt. Why? Because there's no infrastructure for them. They want to do something for the people, but there's nothing for them to do. There's no infrastructure for them. So they leave and start working in Britain or in America. But if we had an Islamic system, and we had the same momentum as we had 1400 years ago, some of the research, some of the development that exists, for example, stem cell research, the Muslims decades ago would have discovered this. If we had that framework and infrastructure in place. Islam doesn't contradict science. Islam was the foundation upon science progressed within certain parameters. We could have solved many, many issues. But they have this idea that religion contradicts scientific progress, religion contradicts accountability, and religion is the cause of all wars. When we look to Islam, it's a completely different picture. And that's the reason why they don't want to have God. That's why they work so hard to say there is no God. But we proved categorically last week, inshallah, hopefully it's clear in your mind, that there is a creator. Now we move on to today's session. If we start from the top, inshallah, if you open your books. None of us would end up on the tube. London Underground, just jump on the tube without what? Without knowing where you're going. You want to know where you're going. And also, if you know where you're going, then you need to make sure you get up on the right tube network. And that's very, very important. That we know there is a creator, and the natural questions which come is what? Why have we been created? SubhanAllah, that's the most obvious question to ask. What is the purpose of my life? Am I here just to enjoy my life, do whatever I want to do? Does this creator want me to become like a lemming and just commit suicide? What does this creator want from me? Does he want me to worship him? How do I worship him? Am I supposed to do here is live this life to the best of my ability? But what's the best of my ability? Am I supposed to be moral? But what's morality? How do I define that? Am I supposed to become a cannibal? I have no idea. I need to understand why I've been created. I want to know that there is a creator. These questions naturally arise. You know the famous analogy people bring? If suddenly you're sitting here, suddenly you wake up in the middle of a desert island, what would you say?
How did I get there?
Yeah, how did I get there? And who put me here and why? Then you're at home having a nice cup of tea, you get hit on the head, you end up on the desert island. Why am I here? What do they want from me? Natural questions to ask. We're here. Who put me here? Why? For what purpose? And like the knock on the door, the mind has a limitation. And what's that limitation? The mind can only process what's in the reality. Knock on the door, what do we say? We know who is at the door? No. But we know there's something or somebody behind the door. And the question becomes, how do we find out who's behind the door and what they want? And that's the question we're trying to answer. How do we know who is behind the door? Unless we open the door. Unless we open the door to the Creator, how do we know what the Creator wants? So what we tend to have is a message. A message which is given to us. But look to the next section. Therefore there needs to be a communication. A message. There needs to be communication between ourselves and the Creator. If we were the ones to establish the communication with the Creator, what's the problem? What's the problem with that? So we say here, if the relationship and the communication was from us to the Creator, why is that flawed? Why is that a problem? Sorry? Yeah, how do you know how to communicate with the Creator? It's like if I said to Brother Suhail, so inshallah, please, can you go and pick up my uncle from the Lahore railway station, and his name His name is Abdullah. MashaAllah, that really narrows it down, doesn't it? How many Abdullahs are there in Lahore railway station? Probably hundreds of thousands. How he would know what he's looking for, he would know who he's looking for. And that's with something which is tangible. So imagine something which is not tangible. How can you start a relationship with that which you can't see?